With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below. The DCEU has been pretty rocky, right, to say the least. The movies have been met with poor critical reception, with the exception of Wonder Woman. And now they're in another complete reconstruction of DC Comics' film division over there at Warner's, simply because they don't know what the hell they're doing, as evidenced by everything that's happened with the DCEU thus far. However, I'm still a Zack Snyder fan, obviously. But that being said, there's been lots of problems. We've seen movies potentially get canceled, or movies be kind of pushed back, or them just doing a shakeup. And one of the biggest ones here is Flashpoint. Right? Flashpoint is one that I can't help but kind of chuckle at, because if there's ever been a time to hit reset on the DCEU, it's now, right? Ultimately it is. Ultimately it is. And this is where Flashpoint could come into it. But we've been waiting to see whether or not they were going to get a decent director. Seth Grahame-Smith was originally going to direct, then he dropped out, then another person was going to direct, and then they dropped out, and now Warner Brothers has tapped John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein. And if you look at the image on the screen here and you can see the movie behind them, it's the remake of Vacation, which ultimately wasn't very funny. However, the only good thing about that movie that I know of personally is that my buddy, who is in his mid-40s, was the Chris Hemsworth body double during the movie. Chris Hemsworth is in his late 20s or early 30s. My friend is in his 40s and was hired as the body double for Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, my friend's attractive. Anyway, Spider-Man Homecoming scribes John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein are in negotiations to direct Flashpoint, the Flash standalone movie starring Ezra Miller. The studio had no comment. So here's the thing. I know like people like Grace Randolph were very upset at this. I saw her tweeting about it yesterday going like, no, those motherfuckers. And I'm like, really? Spider-Man Homecoming was a fun take on Spider-Man. I thought they did a good job writing it. They're going to be able to bring, okay, let's be realistic. These dudes, these two guys right here are ultimately going to be considered safe. They're a safe bet. They're going to play it safe. And right now, I mean, look, right now when it comes to the DC films, they probably need to play it safe. Now, it says the studio had initially courted Ben Affleck to return to the director's chair, but he passed on the gig. Really? So wait, hold on. This is what I don't get with Affleck and why I'm getting really pissed off at Ben. First, he's like, I'm gonna direct Batman. Everyone's like, woohoo, Ben Affleck writing, directing, starring in Batman. It's Warner Brothers' first Academy Award for Best Picture for a comic book movie. Because that's where my mind goes. And then he's like, oh no, I have problems. I'm backing out. I'm not directing it. Matt Reeves comes in. You hear all these talks about people replacing Ben Affleck. Then Ben Affleck goes to Comic-Con. He gets up there, unequivocally states, I am Batman. Right? Everyone loses their mind. Then he keeps going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then he brought up the concept of wanting to direct again. So they're like offering him Flashpoint? And I think Batman's going to be in it. So that makes some sense, right? Anyway, by tapping Daley and Goldstein, the studio seems to eye a comedic tone for the film, giving the duo's directing background on movies like Vacation and the upcoming Game Night starring Jason Bateman. Oh, they did Game Night. If you haven't seen the trailer for that, it looks really funny. Like dark humor. It looks really good. The two are no strangers to the comic book world, having penned the script to Spider-Man Homecoming, which they were also on the short list to direct. Again, Spider-Man Homecoming was a safe take on it. And you could kind of see where Ezra Miller's version of the Flash and Tom Holland's Spider-Man, some of the core concepts could overlap each other, right? I mean, Ezra Miller as the Flash, or as Barry Allen, did a great job in the movie, in Justice League. He was very funny. And I think giving his own movie like that, having him deal with his own insecurities and deal with everything else, and then handling it from more of like maybe like a coming of age comedy sort of thing, while he gets, used to his powers, which is kind of the whole point, him kind of hitting superhero puberty, essentially, I think is going to be very interesting. And that's kind of like, again, what I feel like the first season of like The Flash, the TV show was, right? And so if they kind of modeled it after that a little bit, then we might be able to get something that is, that's going to be pretty good. Now, Flashpoint has been on hold since director Rick Famuyiwa, I butchered that name, sorry, stepped away from the project. While looking for his replacement, the studio decided to take the script in a different direction. Joby Harold has turned in a new draft after a page 1 rewrite. So if they're rewriting Flashpoint and they're making it more of a comedic thing, Flashpoint is, I mean, not really a comedic story, though. That's the thing I don't get. It's not really a comedic story. So are they just going to scrap Flashpoint and then just do The Flash? At this point, I honestly feel that that would be the best course of action. If they were to scrap Flashpoint right now, put it on hold, put a pin in that motherfucker, put it over here, and then go in and do it later, I think that would be for the best. Because Flashpoint right now just feels too much. It just feels too much. And these are not the guys to direct Flashpoint. You know, just saying. So yeah, but let's see. Okay, executives took their time trying to find a new Helmer because Miller was already shooting Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, and then also the reshuffling of the DCEU and everything behind the scenes. So ultimately, they're going comedy, not dark. Maybe some dark comedy, but not like dark themed, essentially. And that could actually work out okay. It could work out okay. Because if they're going for, you know, if they're trying to move away from the idea of the Snyderverse, right? Of the Snyder films. And they move over into this whole area where they're like, you know, like David F. Sandberg's Shazam is, you know, not, it's, you know, this is like predominantly a horror director that's doing this, you know, this action, you know, comic book film. And from what I understand, they're making it more kind of like larger than life, I guess. It could be the right tone for it.